What if I told you that ancient alchemists and modern scientists are searching for the exact same thing? The fundamental code of transformation that's woven into the fabric of existence itself.
That's such a fascinating way to look at it. I just came across this incredible piece that explores that very idea through the lens of mystical symbolism and sacred geometry.
You know what really caught my attention first? The way it opens with this primal image of creation stirring in darkness. A breath of fire, a whispered word. It immediately taps into something universal about how change begins.
And then it introduces this fascinating concept of the thread of 23 that keeps appearing throughout. What do you make of that pattern?
Well, it's interesting you ask that because in sacred geometry, 23 has some profound significance. It's considered a prime number that appears in everything from the human biorhythm to the angles of crystal formation. And here's something wild. Our DNA has exactly 23 pairs of chromosomes.
That's exactly the kind of connection I was thinking about. The piece seems to be suggesting there's this underlying mathematical pattern to transformation.
And you know what's fascinating about DNA? When cells divide and replicate, they go through this process called mitosis, where everything has to break down completely before reforming, just like the alchemical principle of solvet coagula that's mentioned in the piece.
That really connects to those recurring lines about break it down, oh sacred sea, doesn't it?
Absolutely right. And here's where it gets really interesting. Modern quantum physics has shown that at the subatomic level, particles can exist in multiple states simultaneously until they're observed. It's like that line about 2 becomes 3 and 3 returns to 1. It's describing a fundamental pattern of reality.
Well, that's making me think about how the piece uses these paired opposites, the king in gold and queen in pale. It's almost like it's describing quantum entanglement in mystical terms.
You know, Carl Jung wrote it extensively about this in his work on alchemy. He saw these symbolic pairs as representing the integration of opposing forces in the psyche. And get this, he found the same patterns appearing in dreams and myths across completely different cultures and time periods.
That's fascinating. So these aren't just pretty metaphors. They're describing something fundamental about how transformation works, whether it's in matter, consciousness, or society.
Exactly. And modern chaos theory has actually validated a lot of these ancient insights. Scientists have found that systems often have to pass through a period of complete dissolution or chaos before reorganizing at a higher level of complexity.
Like that image in the piece of the rose blooming in dusk's cocoon. It's describing both a physical and metaphysical process.
And here's where it gets really mind-bending. Recent studies in epigenetics have shown that environmental factors can actually alter how our genes express themselves, and these changes can be passed down through generations. It's like that line about through death we rise, through loss we find.
So, in a way, science is catching up to what the alchemists knew intuitively, that transformation follows certain universal patterns.
Right. And what's particularly interesting is how these patterns show up in social change, too. Sociologists have identified something called the threshold model, where systems resist change until they reach a critical point. Then transformation happens suddenly, just like phase transitions in physics.
that really puts those darker images in the piece, the hanged man, the silent death, in a different light. They're necessary parts of the transformation process.
And you know what's really powerful about ending with the fool and the mage? It's suggesting that wisdom comes through this willingness to repeatedly enter the unknown. Modern neuroscience has shown that our brains actually form new neural pathways when we embrace uncertainty.
Well, that certainly gives us a lot to think about in terms of how we approach change in our own lives.
Indeed, whether we're looking at personal growth, scientific discovery, or social evolution, it seems we're all following this ancient pattern of dissolution and reformation. Maybe understanding that can help us navigate these transformative times with more wisdom and courage.